is important and it's timely. Why did I say that? We are in the process of conducting election. Apart from the senior elections, the general election is just around the corner within the next, or around the next 17 months to come. So it's important to have this kind of dialogue because that will be the way to shape the future of this country through the electoral process. Now, INEC as a body, they came up with a very interesting process, moving away from the archaic way of doing things into embracing technology, which is the use of beavers. It's a very, very good innovation. And we believe if we fine-tune it to reflect the reality, it will be the way forward in terms of managing manipulation of the electoral process. Now, for me, as a leader, first, leaders must take responsibility because that is why we're leaders and that is why we're elected to lead the people. And what we need to do is to have a framework where this thing can be streamlined, as well as legislative process that will hold people accountable for whatever they do as far as leadership is concerned.
Indeed.
That's one. Two, with this technology, which is the way forward all over the country, all over the world, look at places like India, with a population of over 1 billion people. Look at Brazil. Look at Estonia. Look at what just happened in Ghana. A very seamless process where manipulation was managed to a greater extent. And for us as a nation, this should be the way forward in order to have a very transparent, responsible democracy.
Well, why do you think it's been impossible to manage that?
Charles, now, from the little things that we saw in the process of election, there seems to be a gap between beavers and IRFs. And for me, going forward, and I'm happy the INEC representatives are here, let there be a proper integration of beavers as well as IRF. Now, let it be online, real time. As you're doing accreditation, and then the voting process starts, whatever is dropping on the beavers should also reflect on the IRF. Now, for us to do that, infrastructure is key to solving this problem because we're talking about technology, we're talking about network. Now, understand the critical infrastructure in order to make this thing seamless, which is key. Now, I don't know what INEC has in place in terms of making sure connectivity is key because that is the only way we can have a seamless integration between beavers and IREP. That is one. Two, let us try to build institutions rather than building individuals because individuals come and go, but institutions come to stay. Look at what is happening in the United States with all the political issues here and there. But the fact that there's an established institution, it makes it difficult for any form of manipulation. That is one. Two, rule of law, Charles. So long as there is no rule of law, no matter what we do here, no matter what we discuss here, it is absolutely nothing. And therefore, we as leaders and as people, we need to emphasize on the rule of law. That is the only way. Three, for everything to work, let us also remember the security architecture of this country. Security is key to whatever you do, to whatever we're going to do, because what politicians do, they realize the importance of security and they use security to intimidate people for their own selfish interest. So long as that is not addressed, it is a fundamental error and nothing can be done and we will not move forward. So for me, this kind of forum is important and I know the role they play during the 2023 election in terms of adequate information, minute by minute, as what is happening in various polling units in different states of the country. And that is very well. We need to have people like that, so as to hold people accountable. Because everything we do without accountability, without rule of law, it is equals to nothing. So for me, Charles, this should be the way forward. This should be, let's design the framework, a workable framework that will make this process seamless, transparent, and accountable.
Governor, thank you very much indeed. That's a brilliant contribution. Let me come to you, Chief Aregbesola.
Elections are not as simple as we are putting them. From the appointment of the Chief Electoral Officer, that's the chairman of INEC, and all the commissioners, to all the issues involved, we know, we pretend as if we don't know. We know they are not, they don't even inspire confidence. So we must start from there. We must start from how do we appoint people who should pretend this process in the first instance. And I would say outright, we must review that to inspire confidence. And how? What's my suggestion? It's so simple. Let parties with at least 5 members in the National Assembly nominate people that will be at the helm of affairs in INEC on equal basis. It's as simple as that solves all the issues. If the parties now betray themselves to allow one of them to run away with it, fine. A situation where the principal beneficiary of manipulation nominates who shares INEC has sincerely dictated what will happen. There is no issue about that. We'll be grandstanding in deceit if you keep on pretending that there is technology is as good as the person behind the technology. AI, as powerful as it is as good as the person manipulating the process. And that was why Stalin said cynically that the voters do not matter as the man who announces the result of the election. That was what Stalin said, cynically. Since he said so, we have seen it clearly. It's not about politicians not being willing to accept defeat or whatever, no. I'm a beneficiary of shenanigans in elections and struggle for it and whatever, so you can, whatever you want to say about it, I tell you what it is. I'm telling you clearly. If you do not change the process of who manages what in the electoral body to at least downplay a single person dictating the tune and managing the affairs, we are joking with it. That is one. Two, are we sure of all the institutions? The governor of Zamfara mentioned law and order. The institution in charge of law and order, is it reliable? Is it reliable? So these are things we have to look at. Not talk of other institutions. And because of fear for myself, I won't mention them. Yes, I mean, we have to be very frank here. However, beyond the general statement, let me not be specific. I know it will take even constitutional amendment to have my suggestion that parties with minimum of 5 members in the National Assembly should nominate people to manage INEC. I know that may not be too easy, but it can be done if you are serious about it. Besides that, is the fact that we must compel INEC to do a public presentation of the technology it wants to use. Let us have an idea of what we want to do. Physically demonstrate it. Don't tell us you are using Beaver, you are using bimodal, you are using this, only for on the election day. You change the entire thing, and we don't know. It's abracadabra. We don't even know what we are doing. We see a ref, we see whatever. The result you declare does not rhyme with what is shown. Let INEC demonstrate to Nigeria. It's part of the law of INEC The existing law of 2022 law of INEC compels it to demonstrate to Nigerians how it's going to conduct the election. That will go a long way to at least compel it to a standard and a procedure that he has shown us. Not for us to wake up on election day and see different things. Okay. That is my first position. Please let me. Okay.
Sure.
Two, how come in India? How come in Brazil? How come in Venezuela? Where as we are voting, the tally is being done and we are seeing it. How come we cannot do so in Nigeria? As we are voting, the tally is being recorded and it's being shown to everybody. It's not about early, it's about the system. We have committed so much resources to technology in INEC that is possible. Let's demand that of INEC. Simultaneous display of election as it is being done. The paperwork is just for parties to have record of what is happening. That is one. Two, agents of parties and observers are usually excluded from election. Agents of parties should monitor closely the processes of election to accreditation. They must not be given a wide berth on election day to just be looking at from afar at what is happening. They should be able to determine whether the person holding the card is the actual person on the card. That's three. Thirdly, is about voter register compilation. Let us compel INEC to link its voters registration procedure with NIN. That will eliminate bloated registers and multiple registration. It does not speak well for Nigeria that we register 3 million voters and we get less than 20 million voters. We register 93 million people to vote and we hardly get 23 million voters. Let us have credible register. And how to have that is to link it with NIN. When you link the voter registration with NIN, it eliminates multiple registration. And with that, we are sure of the voters that we have. We can then effectively monitor who votes, who does not vote. As it is now, we just have padded registers all over the place, waiting for the final day to just add numbers by writing. That's my third thing. And to have a credible election, to have democracy, not credible, to have democracy, you need Democrats. And to have Democrats, honestly, there must be trust and confidence in the process. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And I've just been told that
technology governance, how to govern the technology. When the technology fails, what do? That's what our result is saying. And because INEC has done very well with the technology, because INEC has shown that they have the capacity to deploy those technologies, like we said, we download all the IREV results, we check it against the EC8, we check it against the BVAS. And like we said, it's usually in the less than 20%. But please note this. The agents of the parties that participated in altering the result in these areas where we said usually were the areas of the governor or the incumbent, don't forget that the agents of the other political parties were there. And in most cases, those agents are also native of those places. So they are saying, I'm not the one to stop our brother from going. So if they are writing the results, sometimes they will go ahead and sign. So party loyalty, loyalty to his people sometimes trumps party loyalty.
Right.
So which is why we shouldn't leave everything to discretion. INEC should present that transparency that allows people to see what is happening at the polling unit, at the collation center. With that, you remove the power or even the threat, because sometimes the agents are threatened, sometimes police officers are used, but if there is that radical transparency, it removes the power from the individuals to show that discretion. So I think that where we are now is these technologies are fantastic. We should go ahead with it, but we should put a governance infrastructure. The last point I will make is the point about allowing the political parties have a seat in INEC. I've been canvassing this since 2015. And my argument is that when you go to the Central Bank Monetary Policy Commission, when they finish meeting, they publish the proceedings of the meeting in all the newspapers and said, I, Osita Chidoka, director of MPC, I support the increase in interest rates, and these are my reasons. This person, I do not support an increase, these are my reasons. Because if you don't throw some light into the activities of an organization that has implication for everybody, then individuals sitting inside INEC will have the incentive, will not have the incentive to oppose or support what is good or what they don't agree with. So I think that the way forward for this is for the political parties to have a seat in INEC, in the National Commission. Because that way, when the decisions are made, if INEC takes a decision, if a party had lodged a complaint that polling unit results has been altered, it is at the end of the decision of the panel that makes that decision, whether to go ahead with the result announcement or to call for a review. That decision should be made public. Right. Let's know who in INEC Commission accepted and supported this view and who said no. So that kind of radical transparency is critical for us to restore confidence in the electoral process. But by and large, our technologies are good, they are on track, it gives us all the information we need. The political parties should firm up and begin to tabulate their own results and begin to use agents that are knowledgeable so that they can counteract whatever is going to happen at the point of collation.
Very good point, because that widens the checks and balances,
yes,
doesn't it? And I want to keep you on for just a
pleasure and honor to be here as a representative of the Honorable Chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. He would have loved to be here personally to participate in this discourse, which I believe he is principal actor and source of truth. No one else could say it as it was, as it is, and more importantly, as it should be going forward. Unfortunately, he will be receiving a joint delegation from the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia, or he's actually receiving them, and coalition of civil society organizations on election from Ethiopia today. We are here on an exchange visit to share unique experiences that will advance the electoral processes and innovations in both countries. What a coincidence. We're discussing this and they're coming here to share their experiences. While sending his regards and appreciation to the Chancellor and his team for this wonderful initiative on such a timely report titled Innovation in Electoral Technology 2015 to 2025, Gains, Gaps, and the Road Ahead, which was designed to be national composition on the future of Nigeria's democracy. He noted that since this is the beginning of a marathon conversation on the future of our democracy, he will have ample opportunity to participate and contribute to the national discourse. So though we have missed him here today, but as the discourse continues in the days ahead, he will definitely contribute his part. For today's activities, he has directed me as National Commissioner to lead a team of 3 directors namely S.O. Ibrahim's son, who is the Director of Litigation and Prosecution, Dr. Bayode Lawrence, Director ICT, and Mrs. Eta Messi Victoria, the Director Voter Education and Publicity, to represent the Commission. And the three are here with me throughout this process. And I hope the organizers will give them opportunity to say one or two things if need be. He and the Commission will assure you and your center full cooperation and support. The Honorable Chairman has always maintained that INEC is the most audited organization, whether public or private, in Nigeria. So, the Athena Electoral Observatory is now +1 more and still counting. So we welcome the launching of the observatory. The Commission's position on electoral reform has been aptly presented in its report of the 2023 general election and the subsequent review of the same election. Report of the Commission's stakeholder engagements and retreats between 11th July to August 2023. In those sections, Section 3.7 addresses election technology, while Section 3.8 dealt with voting and results management, which are essentially most of what the panelists dwell on. By-elections, rerun elections, and off-cycle governorship elections held after the 2023 general election have also triggered electoral reforms, and these are some of the issues raised by the center. However, it is pertinent to note, as already been said, that some electoral reforms require change of the legal framework, while some are basically administrative. And it has already been said that those that require legal reforms will have to be done along with other stakeholders, especially the National Assembly. We are already doing that. For the former, the Commission is working with relevant stakeholders like the National Assembly, political parties, civil society, security agencies, NYSC, transporters, etc., to actualize the necessary